Hello and namaste. Welcome to Miracle.com, the place where your passion to sports is our priority, the place where sports is never the third news. I hope that all our viewers are doing well at this hard time, and we pray for the good health of each and every citizen around the world. And talking about today, I am Bibha Thapa, the host of today's episode of Miracle.com Lockdown Live, Facebook Live Season 2. And as usual, we have a guest, of course, and people demand, and we bring the guests for the interaction of our viewers. And if you have any questions to them, any inquiries regarding them, you can comment it down in our comment box, and I'll represent the question to our concerned guests. And talking about today, we have a pleasure to have a one-on-one talk with the General Secretary of IOFTC, Miss Karen Blackledge. Well, let's welcome her. Welcome to Miracle.com, Karen.
Thank you. And I want to thank Miracle.com for being our media partner on this online event. And I want to say good morning.
How are you?
Namaste and Jojo Lava.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
So we all, like worldwide, we are going through this pandemic of coronavirus. Every citizen around the world is going through this. So how is your life going in this hard time?
Well, I'm relying on the computer to do a lot of stuff that I didn't used to have to do, and that includes ordering groceries sometimes.
So if I'm not wrong, you have been involved with IOFTC as General Secretary since 2000. So how has the thing been till now? How was your experience throughout the journey?
Every year it's better and better. I enjoyed the opportunity through Taekwondo to become a part of the International Open Friendship Taekwondo Championships, and I've met a lot of terrific people, and I feel good about the opportunities that we're providing many people, especially the youth today, helping them have life experience that will take them on to be our leaders in the future.
Mm-hmm. And as I know, you have been to Nepal for around 8 times. What drives you to Nepal? Is it only IOFTC, or is there anything other thing that drives you here to Nepal?
Well, it started with IOFTC, and I have been to 3 events there. And but I've met so many people, and I feel like I'm almost part Nepal myself with the experience I've had with people there. So when I go lately, the last few visits I've gone, and the very last visit, my husband and I took our 2 granddaughters to visit people we know there, and just enjoy the culture and the lovely people.
So when was the first time you came to Nepal? Was it for the first International Friendship Taekwondo tournament?
Yes, it was. So
that was IOFTC, right?
Yes. And at that time, my younger daughter and I went and helped out with the tournament with the team.
The year?
I'm sorry?
When was the year you came to Nepal for the first time?
It was December 2000.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's take me back to some early days, like in 2015, the earthquake took place in Nepal. And as soon as you got that news, you made an urgent trip to Nepal, and you managed to help the earthquake victims over here. How was the experience? How was your experience over that time?
Well, we traveled there in November, and I had invited my older daughter, who had never traveled to Nepal, to come with me for a visit. But then April, after the earthquake, we still kept that time, our flight, and we flew there and helped. And instead of just visiting people we know, we met a lot of new people and saw the devastation that the earthquake had caused, or the mini earthquakes had caused. So both of us, we just feel so compassionate to help people that need help. And like I said, I feel Nepal is part of my home now too.
So, as I know, you helped the orphan girls of Nepal, to you took care of them as a mother, and you trained them the Taekwondo too. That clearly shows that you are very into the social work. Is it your personal nature, or is it because of the your position, General Secretary at IOFTC? What's it?
It's because it makes me feel good to help others, and
Mm-hmm.
I love Taekwondo, and the girls at the orphanage, the Meta Center, girls orphanage, and I enjoyed introducing them to Taekwondo, and the experience of having them have that available for self-defense and building confidence and knowing that they can take care of themselves. So my husband and I, after I introduced him to Taekwondo, my husband and I made arrangements to have mats delivered, and we paid for an instructor to go out and teach the girls twice a week. And then IOFTC, along with us, purchased uniforms for them to have. And when the last tournament was in Italy in 2018, we made arrangements to take them to that tournament from Banipa. And I rode the bus there with them. I didn't go back with them, but they were able to compete in that IOFTC event.
That's a great thing of yours. We appreciate that. And so you say that your husband is in the Taekwondo too. So your whole family is into Taekwondo?
Actually, my youngest daughter and I are Taekwondo athletes, and the other people aren't. My husband didn't go for quite a few years after I had gone several times. And when he went there, he loved it. And he did some trekking and saw, families in the villages and the kids. And he says, I want to help the kids out in the country. So one of our friends in Nepal, he made arrangements, and my husband went there and spent 3 months teaching at Chandawari Secondary School in Nala outside Banipa. And so he even has a couple times made them let him help plant rice, but apparently he's not very good.
Yeah, it makes them like all the families are religious. Sorry, I didn't get you.
Oh, I said because some of his rice floated away.
So like if the whole family is into sports, it will be very easy to cope with that environment. You get support from them, so it may be helpful for you.
Absolutely.
Maybe it helps you.
Absolutely.
Yes. And talking about IOFTC, since 1996, I guess you have been taking classes under the Master Devaraja. So how's the experience working with him till now? Like how's the thing with him? How's your experience with him?
I've grown very close to him. I feel us walking in that Taekwondo school, my younger daughter and I, was the best thing that happened in our lives. We were introduced not only to Taekwondo, which I knew nothing about, but also to the Nepali community, which I knew nothing of either. So for all these years, I've experienced Nepali customs like jankus for his mother and for others also, and for Master Dan, he's like my brother, and his brothers are all, and his sister and wife are all part of the same family now. And when they have celebrated Aitika the last few years, I've been able to celebrate with them as their older sister.
So you have been working from to IOFTC for this long, and with the Master then too. So what do you think the difference of Nepali Taekwondo masters or any with any other foreign masters? I'm talking about the way they train. What things varies them from each other?
Okay, he's the only person that I've trained under. So at first, he hadn't been in the United States very long, so I had a little bit of trouble understanding his English, and especially because I didn't know anything about Taekwondo or self-defense. So, but no, I just think it's been an experience. So I really appreciate it. One thing I will say is that sometimes, you go and you miss a class and then you miss another class. Well, if I ever miss 2 classes, I'd get a call from him saying, "How are you doing? Just checking in. We need to see you at school." So very encouraging, and you do the best you can do. So that's all.
These little things motivate you to do a great work too, to train properly, to work, to give your best. These little things matters a lot, I guess.
Yes, it does. And I can't speak for other doctors, but he's great.
Okay, so at this hard time, though it's not hampering Taekwondo much because it's being virtually too. Can you explain how is Taekwondo tournament like this going virtually? How are you people managing it?
Well, we were involved in bringing the 13th in-person event to Michigan this year for the first time outside of Portland, Oregon. But with the COVID-19 lockdown, that's wasn't able to happen. So it's like one thing I have to say about Master Dan, he has lots of ideas and lots of energy. So he thought, with other people's support also, is that this would be a good event to let people who are stuck at home anyway to continue to practice and then be able to compete without having to put their lives in danger or travel, that they could do it and still compete with people throughout the world. So not just people in their school, but throughout Nepal and in the school. Throughout the world. And we have 13 countries represented that have submitted participants to compete in this. So they will get to compete with some other nations that they would not have been able to do, especially with the color belts, right, that have just finished submitting their videos. And so that's an opportunity and a good thing for them. And it'll introduce them to, to things that they haven't been introduced to, but also encourage them to keep on practicing Taekwondo.
Mm-hmm. So you said that 13 nations are participating in this tournament, virtually?
I'm sorry, 13 countries.
13, right?
Yes, 13.
So from one nation, only one representative, or like how many representatives are there from one nation?
Well, the only nations that I tallied up for this interview is that USA has 73 and Nepal has 110. So
altogether, how many participants?
About 250. And those are all color belts. And then right now we're getting black belts are submitting their Pumse videos to us. So there will be probably more black belts than color belts.
Yeah, because of this coronavirus, everything has got hampered around the world, and sports is one of them too. But though it's going virtually too, it's somehow helping the players to be in a track. I guess all the representative of sports in Taekwondo, they are being in track. They are not being distracted, or they are not being like lazy. They don't They are still doing the things right. It's maybe it's somehow helping them.
Oh, absolutely. And in Nepal, we have quite a group of people there too, instructors and masters that are helping enroll students to participate in this. And then we also have a help desk in Nepal that is also registering people. And so if anybody has any questions on the technical end, they will get assistance with that. So that's probably why we're doing so well with Nepali registrations.
So Karen, if this virtual trend will be followed in the coming years, or let's say in coming years or coming days, doesn't it hamper the real world sports? Doesn't it hamper those things? What do you think, in your personal view, what will be the impact of it, this virtual thing? If this trend is based on, like, in coming years, there won't be the real sports, right? If it goes on the virtual thing. So
I
what
I
is
don't
the impact of that?
I don't think so. I think as long as we're staying safe and having virtual is great. But I know people, especially with sparring, you got to be in person to do sparring.
Yeah.
So, and there is experience. You have the cultural exchange that happens during our tournaments, because we emphasize not only doing the best you can do, but experience other people's cultures, which I have immensely experienced.
So until people are safe, it's good.
I'm sorry?
Until the people are safe at their home, it's good to do it virtually, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think this is a great idea.
Because of yeah, before everything else, the pride and priority is the must.
Right. That's right.
So if you had, like, you have been in Taekwondo for this long journey of your life. So if you have to say, explain what is Taekwondo in your point of view, is it only sports, or how do you explain Taekwondo on your words?
Okay, it's good physical activity. It builds confidence. I didn't have that much confidence in myself. Now I almost think I'm almost Bruce Lee.
Yeah, even I have to realize that.
Yeah. So
I have been in sports too.
Yes. So yeah, it's been a great experience, and like I said, also for self-defense, just so no matter who you are, you can walk being conscious and knowing that you can protect yourself.
So it's been a long time you have been in Taekwondo, as we mentioned earlier. What's the most memorable part of this journey? What's the, like, click point? Like, I can't remember, like, I can forget this thing in my life. What's that thing in Taekwondo you have realized till now?
Oh, well, I would say the one thing that sticks out the most is, of course, my first trip to Nepal, and shaking the hands of the then Crown Prince, as he was present during that championship. So, and then of course later the family was no longer there, but I was really impressed that the Crown Prince would shake everybody's hands. So there was from USA, India, and Nepal. So that's a very good memory for me.
And you have been in Nepal for this many times. You have been traveling to Nepal. What's the most memorable part you got in Nepal? What's the best moment you capture here in Nepal?
I don't know that there's anyone. I love the families that when my husband and I go there, we have a family that when he was teaching school, that he stayed with, and when we would go visit, we stayed there. And then of course at Master Dan's family home, we stayed there. We stay at both homes. So, and yeah.
So you have been very close to Nepal and Nepali culture. What do you think the best part of Nepali culture is? I have seen you being dressed in Nepali culture, like Newari dresses, Nepali dresses, and the beginning too, you greet me by the Nepali word, like Namaskar, Jojo Lappa. So I think you are very connected to it. So what's the best part of Nepali culture in your view?
Probably by Tika, because I've actually got to experience being the sister and celebrating the brothers. So with Master Dan and his brothers, our brothers.
So talking about again the tournament, how long will it take? Like when did it started the virtually, and when like until when it will be running this virtual tournament?
Okay, I'm not exactly sure when the idea started circulating with Master Dan. At some point, then he contacted me and for getting involved in it. But the deadline for color belts was June 20th. But there were instructors out there and some masters that wanted to have that extended because they had some students, but they hadn't been able to submit their video poomsae. So we delayed it, and we're doing everything we can to ensure that people that want to compete get to compete. And we know this first time for a lot of people to download a video and then submit it online. So and then when that one closed, because it lasted a couple days longer while people were still completing things, we opened then the black belt registration. So I'm not sure where we are on that because we haven't officially finalized the results of the color belts yet. So that's what I'm focusing on right now, is making sure that everybody gets to see their results, and we'll be sending out certificates of participants to everybody that competed, and we'll be sending via email, by internet. We'll also be sending to the first place, second place, and 2 third place finishers. We'll be sending them award certificates of their completion.
So you have been well known with the Nepal Taekwondo and the USA too. What do you get the difference between them, like here in Nepal and in USA? The way of training, the way of their everything, the way they present themselves. What do you find the difference?
Well, I think they have it harder to train because a lot of them, they don't have, like I said, when we were at the Meta Center, when I introduced them to Taekwondo, they had cement floors. So when I first went to Nepal on my first visit in 2000, Master Dance School that he opened there, they were training outside. You know, they had a little office, but they were doing the actual physical training outside. So we're fortunate that we have nice mats that we can practice on. If you fall, you know, you're not going to get hurt. Or if somebody, I don't mean when you fall, I mean when you're taken down.
So that's an essence too. Like you have to be very safe what you play, right? Because it has to go for the wrong line.
Right.
So what do you think the things, what things would be changed or like developed for a good Taekwondo in Nepal?
Well, I think we have a lot of good people there, and we've had a lot of good supporters. But one thing that would be really helpful is if we could get some assistance from the Nepali government to make it easier for people to compete at these events. Like I said, we've had them in Kathmandu several times, in Pokhara, and in 2012, I think we had it in Ituri, which is a long ways for everybody to go, but it was a wonderful experience. And like I said, the girls from the orphanage were competing there, and they were so excited. And that was nice to see that they, not just testing and getting a certificate, that they moved to the next belt level, but here they actually got to compete with other competitors in person. So rather than their...
So are you still taking care of that orphan girls?
I'm sorry?
Are you still in touch with that orphan girls? Are you still taking care of them?
The earthquake destroyed some of the buildings in there, so the girls actually had to leave. The building they were in was safe, but they had to be moved because while they were rebuilding the buildings that came down, they had to move into that space. So because it was a Buddhist establishment that owned the property. So they aren't there right now, and I'm hoping that they will. I'm hoping that they all are better off for having been there. I did one of my visits. I did run into one of the girls that was at the orphanage when I was there, and the orphanage was still there, but she was no longer there. And I ran into her just walking along the street in Banipa, and she's now a nurse, and so she's doing well. I like to hear that.
That's great. So we are almost at the end of our talk session too. So if the coronavirus, this pandemic will go good. So when are you planning to come back to Nepal to visit again?
Soon.
Yeah. We hope for that.
Yes. Well, it depends on things that happen with COVID-19. I definitely need to be safe, and so it's too far.
And looking at today's context, looking at today's context, maybe much like a few months will be needed to be a cool down.
Right. So, yes.
Okay, so I hope that you'll come to Nepal and we get to meet very soon.
Yes.
And thank you so much for your time, Karen. It was like, though you had a very busy schedule, you somehow managed time for us. And it was a really nice talk with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Can I just say thank you to our Nepal Help Desk, and also to UUNTF, the United Universal Nepali Taekwondo Federation. They have been our supporters for a long time. So, and they're throughout the world. So I've met a lot of members, Taekwondo members from there too. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, and you stay safe.
You too. Thank you. You too.
Subhadip.
Okay, this was with Miss Karen Blackledge, and we are at the end now. I hope that all our viewers enjoyed the talk session of ours. And I am Bibha Thapa. Want to sign off from miracle.com with the promise to be back again soon with another inspiring and motivating stories with you. Till then, stay happy, stay safe. Namaskar.